So we are live. Hello everyone. Welcome to our fourth episode of Ngo Talks with the Agents of Change. I am your host Nitin Shah, CEO and Director of HR Support Foundation. And today we are in conversation with the co-founder of Jimme Foundation, Harish Iyer. Hi Harish, how are you?
Wonderful, wonderful, Nitin. Always wonderful to chat with you.
Thank you, same here. So Harish, just before we get into the conversation, I'm going to introduce Aicha's a brief introduction about yours and also about the Jimme Foundation, and then we'll take it forward from there.
Perfect.
And meanwhile, all of you who are joining us on the live, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us in the comment box. I and Harish would be more than happy to answer that. Um, if you just want to say hi, please go ahead and say hi, and we would like to answer that as well. Coming back to, I'm going to introduce Aicha Support Foundation first. Aicha Support Foundation is a non-profit organization focusing on promoting the mental health case, which is bringing about change through awareness, support, and education. Our work is based on the belief that raising public awareness, educating communities, and equipping every person with the right tools can help us foster optimum mental health. Now, while we do work a lot in the area of mental health, our primary line of work is to actually help the facilitators. So, a lot of activities that ICHA Support Foundation does is with change makers, be it psychologists, be it psychiatrists, or even social workers who are working in the area of mental health. And as an extension of that is this initiative of ours, which is NGO Talks. Uh, Before I go ahead and talk about anything else, one quick announcement. I'm sure a lot of you are already aware of the Visitor Mental Health Practitioner Challenge that we have been running as a part of ICHAS and ICHA Support Foundation. It's a challenge where we request all mental health practitioners to come out, create videos requesting people to visit mental health practitioners and talk about not just the bigger disorders, but also the small, small things where mental health practitioners can really help you and help other people and guide them. So if you are a mental health practitioner, it would be great if you could create more content, more videos on those small things and post it regularly on your social media channels. If you're not sure what content to add, you can visit mhp.com. There are a lot of content that we are creating on that page. You can just take that content, share it, add your contact numbers, and ask people to connect with you. If you're not a mental health practitioner, my request every day, if you could just post one thing on your social media account where you make an announcement that if I ever need help, I would surely be visiting my mental health practitioner. That can help us normalize this entire stigma associated to mental health and may help us normalize the idea that it's okay for people to visit a mental health practitioner. I hope all of you would help us, share us, guide us in this particular initiative that we have taken up. Coming back to today's talk and today's topic. So as I said, we have Harish Iyer with us. He's already someone that a lot of you know very well. Doesn't really need as much of an introduction, but I'll still do my bit and introduce him. So he is an Indian equal rights activist. He engages in advocacy for a number of causes, including promoting the rights of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community, children, women, animal, and survivors of child sexual abuse. Harish was also one of the most vocal proponents of the decriminalization of homosexuality in India. He has engaged in several awareness campaigns about the impact of the decision and condemned the ruling via media advocacy. He was one of the people to move the Indian Supreme Court to decriminalize homosexuality. He is the co-founder of Jimme Foundation. Jimme Foundation is a Navi Mumbai-based not-for-profit organization. Uh, It is an organization that believes that there is an empath within all of us. During his struggle with sexual abuse as a child, Harish's dog Jimmy was always there to lick his tears. The Jimmy Foundation's aim is to help institutions and individuals become center of equal opportunities and flag bearers of equality. So, Harish, I have introduced you, I have introduced the Jimmy Foundation a bit, but it would be great if you could introduce a bit more about yourself, tell us a bit more about yourself.
Um, so I'll speak. I'll introduce myself in the context of mental health. I I, I'm dysthemic. I have got dysthemia, and I have all my childhood. I was a survivor of child sexual abuse. I was raped from the age of 7 till the age of 18. So I presently, I mean, if you we often look for models and we look for people who are survivors of we have the stereotypical image of how survivors of any mental health disorders or some people who are braving any mental health disorder would look like. This is how somebody would look like. I am somebody who braves post-traumatic stress disorder on a daily basis sometimes. I have a mental health I visit a mental health professional every week. I've never missed a single appointment of a mental health of my psychologist. Uh, I'm a little lazy when it comes to taking medicines, and never has my psychiatrist rebuked me. Like every time I meet her, the first thing is, "तू ना बहुत मेरा सबसे बेकार patient hai." So I think it's important, and I really appreciate what you are doing because it's important uh, to destigmatize. My partner was um, the, my partner was um, undergoing treatment for bipolar disorder, and he's very open to speak about it, and that's why I'm taking with his consent. Um, so I think it is important uh, that we kind of destigmatize it. For me, I never visited a psychologist. Now I'm 41. I never visited a psychologist until I was 38. While I used to send people over there because advice is easy to give and difficult to follow, and when I used to send people and I used to speak about mental health and everything, but I never followed it myself until I landed up in a breakup like 3 years back when I was 38 is when I visited a mental health professional for the first time. So I think and for me, all my childhood, I did receive therapy in terms of my dog because I received pet therapy even before I received human therapy. I used to come home, uh, speak to my dog, and start crying when I used to get sexually when I came home after getting sexually abused, and my dog used to lick my tears. And that's where I realized that it's so important. Listening is so important. Not everyone could be a therapist. Not everyone has a degree. Not everyone should say that they are a therapist also. Uh, but one thing that they can definitely do is they can be a friend, they can be a listener. Uh, at a time when mental health is so stigmatized that people and even the drama that's happening today of people revealing uh, a patient's mental health history to save another patient who could suffer from mental health to save her. I was referring to Riya Chakravarti. Uh, to save one person, you're kind of this thing. I think in times like this, when it's so stigmatized, it's so important that friends open up and turn so that when mental health is stigmatized, it's at least important for every friend to hold another friend's hand and just listen. Don't offer advice. Don't try to do something heroic. Just listen. I think that by itself is therapeutic. And take the person to a mental health professional when the person is ready. Until that time, listen to the person. I think it is. So for me, my dog was my savior, and that's why we have around 20 years after my dog died, we have co-founded the Jimme Foundation with um, two very like-minded individuals. We all joined in together and we joined and we created the Jimme Foundation, named after my dog because there's a backstory to it. Because the backstory is that listening heals.
Brilliant. And could you also tell us a bit more about Jimme Foundation, the work that Jimme Foundation does?
So Jimme Foundation is a youngling. We have just it just took birth in at the end of December. We've hardly had like 7, 8 months since Jimme Foundation is this thing, and most of the work of Jimme Foundation is in the lockdown period. So, uh, so we are an organization that stands for equality and stands against discrimination, irrespective of caste, religion, creed, sexuality, gender, or species. We believe that the lives of animals are as important as the lives of human beings. We don't make a choice there at all. We think that both are important. It's not an either or. It is all that is important. And we have done school programs before the schools shut. Of course, we have gone to around 9 or 10 schools, around a dozen schools and colleges, and we have spoken about a lot of issues: gender, sexuality, um, um, child sexual abuse, also, and every time our component has also been mental health. We were co-founded by five individuals. Um, one of them, one of them is gay, who's me. One of them is bisexual and has, breaks bipolar disorder. One of them is gender fluid, and I think I'm also gender fluid, and we have two straight men. So, yeah. So I think what's important so is to have diversity so that our views are reflective of the people who we are.
Very good, interesting. And it's good that you're doing so much work in this particular area also, because I remember us speaking to certain people from the community and the amount of challenges that they are facing. And there is like a double whammy. There is one that there's mental health, so that they are not comfortable talking about. And then there is the stigma associated to the community, and that also they are not able to talk about. So to be able to do the kind of work that you are doing, it's very needed and it's brilliant, to say the least. I so
Thank you so much.
when you started this organization, were there specific aims, objectives with which you set up apart from what you've just shared with us?
See, one of the things that we want to do is definitely start sexuality, and gender education in every school and every college. That is definitely something that's on our agenda. Also, it's so important that we get that when that we look at sex and sexuality and this thing beyond the gender binary, and that becomes incredibly important because the number of suicides within the LGBT community is so high. So that's definitely one of the things. We also want to set up forums of discussion um, within safe spaces within and create survivor circles where people could um, where you could have survivors of child sexual abuse who could speak to each other and find comfort in each other. And from the environment and animal welfare vertical, we have we are supporting an organization, we are supporting an initiative called IRG's Farms, where there's somebody who looks after animals and who rehabilitates and who looks after animals, and uh, we all our activity is kind of focused in kind of rather than starting something new, in actually equipping people who are doing something really good to do something better. So that's this thing. I mean, we do. I mean, our vision is to have a world where no one is suffering, but I know that our vision is difficult to get. Uh, but your visions and your missions have to be unacquirable, so that you're never satisfied with what you've done. So we don't want to um, ever rest on our laurels and say that, hey, we have achieved this much and we are not going to do anything more.
That's very interesting. And in fact, when you're talking about helping other organizations who are already doing good work, That's actually one of the primary objectives why we started the NGO talks, because we recognize that there are so many people who are doing so much of good work, but at times it's not visible, it's not evident, and many a times when that work is not evident, there are people probably who want to support, who want to help these organizations, but they have no idea who to help, who to support, and then we keep going back to the same old organizations to also do the kind of good work and charity work that we want to do. So one of the
Yeah,
objectives
because
was.
many times, yeah, I think it's that's why it's and in the social media noise that we live in, it is very difficult to you know there are times when one organization outshines the other. The one of the sectors which has very little talk within each other is the NGO sector, where people don't speak to each other and people form perceptions um, before because I understand it's a competitive world and it is I mean for outsiders it's social work and charity. For insiders who are paying bills, who have salaries and stuff to pay. It is like any other it's like any other profession. It's like any other business. Uh, so so it's difficult to use. Business is a difficult word to use when we are speaking about social work. But there are salaries to be paid. There are times when we speak in those terms, and at those times, I think it becomes imperative that we look at kindness and we don't look at outshining another person. We look at collaborative models and how everyone can succeed, and don't look at what uh, how to pull another person down so that we go up. Uh, Also, it becomes imperative that we look beyond what is seen, because social media often um, projects some aspects, and there's so much of clutter and there's so much of noise which is over there, where you have perceptions before you have already spoken to the person, you know, where you have already verified things. I think it becomes imperative that we have NGO talks like the ones that you're doing, and thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. In fact, the one of the reasons why we started this was this, that we recognized we have our own strengths and we have our own limitations, right? So our strengths
Yes.
has always been into training people in mental health and be able to monitor them and be able to mentor them. But our weakness has been to actually be able to reach out to audiences who will need help. So one of the reasons why we started NGO Talks was for this reason, that if we can connect to people who already have the final audience, right, we are more than happy to train the right set of people so that they can continue working in their NGO that they are working in. But then it becomes like a win-win for all. For us, that's our strength, we want to focus on that, and they also then can do a lot of good work by reaching out through other NGOs that they are working with and they are associated with. So I really hope that more and more NGOs also start coming together, because like you said, that this is one area where I do think there's a lot of scope for collaboration, and I hope we are able to initiate some level of collaboration on those lines.
Yeah. I think it's much needed. A dialogue between NGOs is much needed because there's so much of work. There is place for everybody. That there isn't really a competition. And seriously, if we can kind of segregate the work that all NGOs are doing, we don't. I mean, forget human welfare sector. The animal welfare sector is even even worse because you're speaking for beings who cannot speak for themselves. So everyone assumes their voice, and uh, and the kind of fights that happen over there, it's really sad because in the end, it is the voiceless who suffer the most in between the fights that NGOs have with each other.
Yeah, I understand that. And so, Harish, now that we've spoken about the activities that the foundation does and the history that we have spoken about, if people have to get in touch with the foundation, how do they get in touch with the foundation? Is there a website that you can share with
I think
us, or?
yeah, the website is the jimmyfoundation.org. Jimmy is spelled as Jimme and not
Mhm.
Jimmy. The jimmyfoundation.org. Um, you can also write to me directly at Harish at the jimmyfoundation.org. You can also, in fact, WhatsApp me 98331 00340. So yeah,
Just a
so
second, I'll take
I
the.
have my number out there.
I'm just sharing it on the comments so that people know that they can connect with
Yeah,
you at these
please
ID.
do, please do.
Perfect.
So I have no qualms about sharing my number either.
And can you just repeat the number once again, please?
98
98
double three
double three
double three 100
100
340.
340. So 9833 100 340.
Perfect.
Good. So any of you who would like to get in touch with Harish, who would like to support him in the initiatives that Harish has taken, the work that Jimme Foundation is doing, please get in touch with him. So before, all right. So since we are talking to people and we are asking people to get in touch with you and the foundation, what are the challenges that the foundation faces with respect to what people can support you?
Well, one of the challenges um, that we are facing right now is we are not operational the way we would want to be operational because we are more of we go to schools and colleges and we have sessions over there. We have discussions. We inclusive discussions and stuff like that. But that's not happening, and I don't think anyone else and anyone could help in that at this moment.
And
Uh, the other thing that we are doing is we have a lot of calls. I mean, the number of calls that we have received, and because these calls are taken by individuals and not a call center or people, so there are a lot of these personal calls that we are receiving, and we are connecting them to people personally. So many of them are people who have suicidal ideation. So we connect them to counselors, we connect them to individuals after they are willing to listen, willing to speak to someone. Uh, so one of the major crises that we are facing ourselves is our own mental health. So that's why I regularly speak to my counselor because you can't pour uh, and we have our own personal challenges, right? And we are also locked down.
true,
We
true.
are also uh, facing, I think the helpers need help too, and um, no, no counselor is a superhero. I'm not a counselor. I've enrolled for a course from IGNO, um, where family therapy and counseling course from there. Just enrolled like 2 days back. Um, so I'm not a counselor, but I want to be counselor, but a listener. So I listen and I direct them to other people. I'm rather a community, so say, but not with someone with a degree. So yeah. So so yeah. Uh, so I think one of the things that we're facing is our mental health cannot always be. He stopped taking calls from tomorrow,
Yeah.
it, I mean, which is not so doable, which everyone would advise, but that's not so doable. So the other thing that I end up doing is limiting the calls and ensuring that between calls, that I take time to reflect, that I do a variety of things. Um, so yeah, so at the moment, and I direct them to right people if I'm not able to, and don't try to become a superhero trying to save everyone and stuff like that. So yeah, so I think one of the things that I'm doing in this lockdown, and we all are doing at Jimme Foundation, is trying to focus on ourselves because until we are safe, we would not be able to save people.
And in terms of the long-term plans that you have with Jimmy Foundation, any particular set of challenges that you see may come up?
I think we are understaffed and we need more volunteers to assist us with grant writing and other things. Um, because we are five co-founders, but we have only two of us actively working. So the others are there to offer advice and assistance when we require. So somebody who can volunteer their time in helping us grant writing and things, and we would be opening up positions also once the lockdown settles, so that we can employ people as well. Um, yeah, so that's something that we would need. We have all the
Okay.
ideas and everything, but we have very little man force or human force. So to say, man force is a bad word.
Okay. Perfect. Areas that you would like people to support you in?
Um, at the moment, please visit our website. Have a look at the work that we're doing. We love to have feedback from you. We have our Insta. We are there on Insta and Twitter and Facebook. More active on Insta because one of our co-founders, Ria, is just like 19 years of age, and 19 years में इंस्टा ज़्यादा ये लगता है. फेसबुक सब हम बूढ़े लोग का जगह लगता है. तो so yeah, so we are so we're very active over there. So please go, please join in, participate in conversations, discussions, be more active, suggest more ways, because suggest more ways where we can build a collaborative system where where we don't look at animal welfare or human welfare or LGBT or women's rights and different buckets, but look at all of it coming from the same stem of empathy. So that's the core of Jimme Foundation.
All right. Perfect. And if people should know one thing about Jimme Foundation, or if there was one reason why people should know about Jimme Foundation, what should that reason be?
I think we are an organization where which stands up. We might look like an organization which is everywhere, but the truth is we stand for empathy, cultivating empathy, and irrespective of the person's whether it's a person or whether it's a non-person, uh, it we would stand up for the living being and for their life free of prejudice and of dignity. So that's what we don't put. We are a unique organization that doesn't put human beings and animals in two different buckets.
Okay, brilliant, perfect. Uh, Anything else that you would like to share with our audience? Any other kind of support that you would like them to give you, apart from obviously checking out the kind of work that they are doing, that you are doing? Anything else?
I think I think if everyone who's watching this would just be a listener to their friends and refer them to mental health professionals. If need be, go with them to a mental health professional. Uh, Help in destigmatizing. That will be the biggest help that anyone could offer any organization, because we will get those many less calls and we'll be able to focus on more people. So the more the issue gets destigmatized, I think that's the best help that anyone could, not just Jimme Foundation, but any organization. And if there are dogs which are barking, let them bark. Don't go and pelt a stone.
Perfect, brilliant. So that's a very good advice to give to all the people, because that's one of the things that I keep hearing. In fact, is this that because what will people say is why we don't want to come out, or that's the reason why we don't want to visit a mental health practitioner, which is like, and it was very interesting the other day we were having this discussion and someone, matlab, this was a casual conversation and someone actually told the other person that do you imagine if you don't go to a mental if you go to a mental health practitioner today, people will tell you why did you go to them. Tomorrow if something goes wrong, the same people will tell you when you knew things were going wrong, why did you not go to them? So
Yeah,
so people would really say what they have to say, that that cannot be a reason for you not to do what is right for you and what is important for you.
I think
Brilliant.
everyone who has a doctor, a physician should also have a mental health professional as a part of their well-being thing. I mean, like when you have a family doctor, why don't you have a mental health professional also? So I think that's a must need for every family, for every individual. and every family for sure.
So I really hope that happens, because for us, if there would be one thing that we would hope for, that we are aiming for, is actually this: that every person has their own personal mental health practitioner that they can connect with, that they can talk to, that they can seek help from as and when they require, not just in terms of having a problem that they want to resolve, but it could also be in terms of doing better than what they are doing right now.
Yeah. So you don't need to, Nitin, you don't need to have a problem, so to say, to go to a mental health professional. People often assume कि मैं like people go to a mental health professional when they have a breakup or when they are depressed or something of that kind. First of all, I mean, our lingo itself is so this thing. There is a difference between being depressed and being in depression. So all
Correct.
these, so it's so important that you just visit. So a mental health practitioner, good, and it's sad that we have to say a good mental health practitioner. There are not every doctor is good, not every mental health practitioner is good. So it's almost like a shoe size which fits you well. Uh, and it's so important when we go to a mental health practitioner for a mental health practitioner, it's important that they don't of mental health practitioners are not people who come and offer you relationship advice or any advice. A mental health practitioner is basically somebody who will open all the cards that you have in front of you and show you and see you and let you see those things, see all those cards with more clarity. That's all. And then you make your own decisions after that. So आई नो दैट को उस नजर से भी देखते हैं लोग जहाँ पे उनको लगता है कि बस जाऊंगा और मेरे को कुछ सोल्यूशन मिल जाएगा। नहीं नहीं, आपको सोल्यूशन नहीं मिलेगा। आपको आपके खुद की आपको देखने का एक अलग नजरिया मिल सकता है, तो सोल्यूशन आप खुद बना सकते हैं उसके बाद। सो दैट्स हाउ इट नीड्स टू बी। सो आई थिंक there's so much of destigmatization that is needed still.
Yeah, and I really hope that with NGO talks, with the other activities that we are doing, with all the work that you guys are doing, that we are able to work towards destigmatizing the entire thing, hopefully as quickly as possible.
Hope so.
Perfect.
I think
So,
I think Nitin, the work. Sorry. Please go on.
no,
I
you're
cut
saying,
you.
sorry, you're saying something.
I think the purpose of every NGO should be to be non-existent at some point. कि कि मैं जो कॉज के लिए काम कर रहा हूँ ये कॉज रहे ही नहीं और मैं graduate करूँ to some other cause. So if I'm working for LGBT rights, I just hope that we get all the rights that we don't need to have an organization at all. The whole purpose of any organization should be in its non-existence. You know, कि हम non-exist करें, HR और non-exist करें, हम non-exist करें, हमारा existence ही मिट जाए, हमारा अस्तित्व मिट जाए. I think that will be the best thing to happen.
That's actually a very good note to kind of sum up what we have discussed right now, because as an NGO, if we start looking at it that way, that rather than, so yes, we may want to grow because we want to reach out to more people and we want to help more people, but eventually the idea has to be that we want to grow enough so that we are not required. And that
Yes.
is I think the perfect note for us to kind of summarize what we have done today, what we have discussed today, and so on. So thank you, Harish, for being there, for helping us, for guiding us, and giving all the feedback in terms of the kind of work that you are doing. Anything else that you would like to add in the end?
Nothing. Be kind and be safe. Um, have safe sex. Have have safe drinking water, and ensure that you don't harm animals.
Perfect. Brilliant. So thank you everyone who has been watching us, who has been live, or who would watch us later on as we share these videos and so on. If you have any questions that we have not addressed, then please comment it to us. I'll forward it to Harish, and then Harish could probably share the answers, and we can share it with all of you. You also have Harish's website, the phone number, the email ID, so you can always directly connect with him and get details about both his work and whatever way you would like to support. Please feel free, please go ahead and support. Eventually, while as an NGO, we may want to do a lot of things, we would also need support of people so that we can continue and we can do the good work that needs to be done.
Thank you, Nitin. It's been such a
Thank
pleasure.
you. Same here. Thank you.